Welcome to the world of Q&A, sir. Where the past, the present, and the future of gaming all converge in a big ball of excitement that means there's no time for the boring stuff that so many people like to talk about all the time. We talk about games here, and very glad to see some of you are already here to talk with me. Ashes to ashes. I am not arriving precisely when I mean to, but thank you for your confidence. Patrick's here, Isla's here, Kratos is here. I've seen some other names as well that have already scrolled off the list. Painful Discourse has been around. Thank you everyone for coming along. So Chris Blackburn's here as well. Obviously last week I didn't do Q&A, sir, because I actually can't remember why I didn't do it last week. I almost had to skip this week as well, but I couldn't possibly miss twice in a row. So here we are, starting a little bit late. If you're watching live, I'm sorry that we are missing the usual 9 o'clock kickoff time. If you're not watching it live, then you don't really care about that, do you? Thank you for coming along after the fact and leaving me delicious comments to read and respond to. Now, I know it's been a little while. I can barely remember how the show runs, but hopefully it's all familiar for everybody else here. We do a nice back and forth. We always start with a bit of talk about what we've been playing. Then we go on to the topics, and I don't really know what those are today, but I'm sure we'll come up with something between us, right? And at the end of it, we go through a nice formal little Q and answer. So at some point during the show, Isla will put up the formal YouTube form that lets you submit questions, and we'll go over those one at a time, addressing each and every one of them in case your comments get missed or the flow of conversation doesn't cover everything that you want it to. So before we do that, always a word from our sponsor. Is our sponsor ready? Yeah, more or less. Our sponsor is Game On Daily. Website, social media thing almost, platform, news aggregation site, place to go to find your favorite content creators and all of that lot. Get it while you can. I don't know how long it's going to be up for, but big bright future, maybe. That's our sponsor. Now we're back into it. Let's talk about what we've been playing. I haven't been here for 2 weeks, which means none of you have been here for 2 weeks, which means I want to hear what you've been playing for that whole period. There are certain games that I'm obviously interested in terms of their recency. So if you've been playing some Wolong or even like Shadow Warrior 3 or the kind of thing that's dropped, but I haven't really had an opportunity to look at myself, then I'd love to know what you think of it and whether I should spend the time downloading these games and playing them. Isla has been playing Age of Empires in capital letters, yelling at everyone to make sure that you know. Isla, have you ever tried Age of Empires 4? I'd really like to know why you prefer the first one over the newer one, or if you're planning to work through the series in order and get all of those campaigns and all of those history lessons in the way that God intended. Kratos, you dropped over $200 on 3DS digital eShop only games. Is the I didn't even know the 3DS store was still like live and usable. But being Nintendo, $200 on the Nintendo 3DS digital eShop probably means you got 2 games, right? How many games did you get for your $200 from Nintendo? Patrick, you're still playing Atomic Heart and Skyrim. See, I know all about Skyrim. I haven't played my VR Skyrim for a good couple of months, and I definitely need to get back into it. Because my poor orc is wondering where I am. And my poor wife. I told her I was going out to, like, kill trees and people, and I never came back. So Skyrim has to happen again in the near future, and it will. But Atomic Heart, so many people have such mixed opinions of that. You're still playing it, which suggests that it hasn't put you off. You haven't decided that you hate it, and you're going to go and play something else. So I'm assuming maybe, Patrick, you like it? You're just about at the end of it? I saw some suggestion that Atomic Heart doesn't really do a good job of telling you that you're at the end of it. That it will spring the point of no return on you and say, too late, you shouldn't have gone through there. Kratos, it closes on March the 27th. So do you happen to know when the store closes on March the 27th? Do they just stop selling stuff but still allow you to download things? Or are you going to lose the ability to download altogether? Like, you have to download them now and hope that nothing happens to your 3DS. Isla, thank you for the top chat alert. I have switched over to live chat. You were correct. I was on live chat, missing everything that's going on, so you can have some points for that. We do still have a relatively simple background. Oh, where's my arms? A relatively simple background for you to try and guess. And also an OST that I would say is probably medium difficulty. Medium. There's some good signature themes that you'll catch in this one that might give it away, but it's not the freshest of games. So, in fact, it's doing the signature themes right now as I speak. So you might just blurt out exactly what game it is. You can re-download. Well, that's not horribly sinister and evil, is it? It would be much worse if they took away the games that people had purchased, and I don't trust Nintendo to do right by anyone. So glad to hear that you got your $200. Have you got, Kratos, amongst your $200 purchases? Have you got any like standout ones that you're proud of, or that you wanna mention? The big games. Painful Discourse, welcome back. Sorry I missed the start time. I know you were there prompt and early. I was not. Chris Blackburn, Hi-Fi Rush, and lots of Call of Duty multiplayer. You're hyped for Starfield. You've never played an RPG before. Fancied trying one out before launch. You're thinking Fallout 4. Recommendations welcome. Wow, like RPGs is a pretty large, broad genre that you can split and divide into multiple subcategories. I would say if you're trying to set your appetite for Starfield, then you couldn't do better than Fallout 4 as a way to acclimatize yourself to the systems and structure of a Bethesda game, because Starfield, no matter what they say, still looks like Fallout 4 in space. But there are a lot of incredible games within those other subgenres. If you want to deviate a little further away from the Bethesda formula, if you want to get into some Witcher 3, some Dragon Age, some Divinity Original Sin, those are good games. You can go into the Japanese route and play Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I'm sure there's been many other good Japanese ones, but Patrick is suggesting Skyrim because Skyrim is phenomenal. I prefer Skyrim over Fallout myself, but the fact that you've chosen Fallout suggests to me that you prefer your guns and post-apocalyptic kind of vibes over and above your dragons and elves and swords and magic. Isla, you're going to hunt vaults during the show. That's okay, everybody loves the Borderland games. Tech Infusion busted straight in and identified the background. Not by name, but absolutely definitely knows what it is. Yeah. But don't give me spoilers. I haven't finished Resident Evil 7 yet. This is like a spoiler right behind me, but if I don't look, it doesn't count. You said the background like 10 minutes ago. Fine, steal all the points. You're a mod, be nice to the community. You must have said it while I was on top chat, so... Still an OST up for grabs. Anyone can get the OST. Keep coming at me with these games though. Starfield, we can talk a bit about it in a little bit. There's not heaps that we can extrapolate out of that little reveal trailer that they showed, but your scalp itches. Mine does not itch. Yeah, that's all I've really got on that particular non-gaming topic. You're frying tofu, don't be disgusting. Bleh. I don't think I've ever actually eaten tofu, but I don't think it's a thing that I like. Space Denizen, welcome. How are you doing with your various virtual reality endeavors at the moment? Patrick doesn't even have a scalp. This is somewhat concerning. Patrick, I hope you're okay. I've obviously, on the mention of virtual reality, I've obviously played a fair amount of the PlayStation VR 2. I've actually done, the reason that this show is late is I've done a fairly in-depth, overly long review of that device that I had to render and upload before I started here. My PC was occupied uploading to the Game on Daily channel, so at some point there'll be a big thorough review of the PlayStation VR 2, hopefully going up on that channel, but I don't know what time or when. So, oh, Kratos. So this is the 3DS games that you just picked up. So Shovel Knight, Shanty's Pirate Curse, Rhythm Heaven. So I know of Shovel Knight and I know of the Shanty games. I've never played Shovel Knight or the Shanty ones. Don't know Rhythm Heaven, but the name suggests to me that it's probably a brutal first-person arena shooter. So that's what I'm going with. And some classic titles: Kirby, Kid Icarus, and Kid Icarus Excitebike, and Xavius. I've never heard of the latter. All of the others that I have So you're a bit of a, despite your name being Kratos, you are a secret Nintendo fan. You even go for the Kirby's and like old 2D platformers and all sorts. Very nice. Very nice. Say, like I said at the start of the show, past, present and future, they all converge here. I love all of them. The old stuff, I've still got my old consoles kicking around that I accidentally revealed live on my PlayStation VR screen when it decided to broadcast my room. And everybody saw my fat PlayStation 3 and various other old consoles and pajamas and mess that my room is still in. I have not tidied it even 1 little inch since that stream disaster. It's part of your sophisticated troll lines, yes. Tofu is a very sophisticated way to troll people, but backfires if you're the one that has to eat it. Today, you bought a physical copy of Atari 50 for the Switch. The Switch is one console where I don't trust their online infrastructure enough to go all digital, so I actually do potentially pick up their cartridges, which isn't true. I got 4 cartridges with the Switch when I bought it. Since then, I've only bought Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which was a digital download, and the Scott Pilgrim game that Tony promised to play with me, but then ghosted. But there are many Switch games that I want, so I sincerely hope that when they do eventually release something new, it will let me play those in style and comfort. So, what have I been playing? Gran Turismo is still magical. It's still Gran Turismo 7, so all of the flaws are still there. Like, the opponent cars are just obstacles to bump into. The campaign structure is still pretty weak, and the world map is terrible. But you get to sit in the car, so you get to look at all of the different materials in the dashboard. You get to look at your own character's like helmet reflecting off of the reflective surfaces of the dashboard, and do a little dance as you're driving around and listening to music, and it's brilliant. Tony is a jerk. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. He did, well, if you ask Tony, he'd probably say that I ghosted him, and he's been very willing to play every day for the last year. But it just hasn't worked out yet. It will. The Switch is great, but yes, you mostly buy physical. But many great digital sales out there. So, Kratos, do you buy physical for the PlayStation as well? I'm assuming you do main the PlayStation like as your primary console, as it were, or with your PlayStation-centered name. More digital you bought: Soul of Darkness, plays like the Castlevania games, Gunman Clive 2. Patrick is reminding everyone that you can't trust Tony. This is unnecessary reminders. We've all been around him long enough to know. PlayStation 5, you're more physical as well. I've actually got the digital edition PlayStation 5, so if I got a disc, I wouldn't be able to play it. I could just kind of lick it, or whatever it is that people do with discs on the PlayStation. I've got a smoothie. It's delicious and poisonous. Space Citizen is getting Prime Remastered in a couple of months. What's Prime Remastered? Prime Remastered is something to have a little search for. Wait there, don't go anywhere. YouTube. Prime Remastered. Oh, Metroid Prime. Okay, YouTube understood better than I did, and everybody there probably understood. Metroid games, so I don't think it's any particular secret that I dislike Mario as a Nintendo character. I'm not a big fan of Kirby, and I'm not a big fan of Link, because I just don't understand the worlds. But outside of those, I'm not a big fan of Pokemon. Okay, maybe I actually dislike Nintendo more than I realise. But Metroid, I've always been quite interested in the universe, and put off by it, by the fact that Metroid games are surely Metroidvania in style. Like, Metroidvania as a little genre style of game is named after the Metroid games, and I don't like it mechanically as a genre. Therefore, I can't possibly like the Metroid games. I don't know if Prime, given its different perspective and its first-person view, is still a Metroidvania. So, you tell me, is it still a lot of retreading? Very efficient design, like, if you're going to make a game and you can only afford one person to do the art, then Metroidvanias make all the sense in the world. But is Metroid Prime one of those? Do you just retread the same areas again and again, going, oh, now I can double jump. Oh, now I can grapple up there. Oh, now I can break the soft wall. Oh, now I can get through this laser beam. Like, that kind of thing. But character and universe-wise, like, sure, I'd play a Metroid game. I'd play... the only one that I really dislike are the Mario ones, which is obviously the biggest one that they've got. So I've been playing Gran Turismo. Get through this. Actually, I don't have many topics lined up, so talking about games is a good way to go. And in VR, so you go through these races, you admire all the dashboard of the car, and then you finish the race and you have to go back to the world map just like you do in the pancake one, and you have to talk to Luca in the cafe, and he's boring as shit and gives you your next set of races to do essentially. But then you have to go back onto the world map, piss around going to your garage and changing your car, and then go to the tuning part of the world map and then buy every upgrade that you can to make sure that you're way too fast for all of the races. And then you get back into your car for race time, and because you've already spent all of your credits on upgrading your car, you just wall bang and bumper smash your way around the course whilst admiring the interior of your car, claim first place and do it all again. And on Pancake Gran Turismo 7, I did not enjoy that in the slightest, but VR is satisfying enough that I will play a fair amount of that game, despite its flaws. And when Forza Motorsport comes out later this year, I will ignore it and play Gran Turismo 7, even though Forza Motorsport will probably be superior in every way besides method of play. Method of play is a big deal. That's one thing I've been playing. I've played a bit of a bunch of things for the sake of the review that I was doing. So I still haven't got far enough through any of the PlayStation VR games to satisfy the itch. But the Horizon Call of the Mountain game, I was obviously playing that on stream. And I had like a fairly clear expectation of what that game would be. Or let's bring up my own gameplay of it. Why not? Why not? What better place to show some Horizon? Maybe not. I can't find it. Horizon from the start. I had, like I said, I had a very clear expectation of what this game would be. And why is it in HDR? I've not got HDR on that TV right now. Whatever, it's fine. Very clear idea of what this game would be, and it was exactly that. But if anything, the limitations that you could see in the trailer, so the weakness it has in its combat system, didn't hinder combat as much as I expected it to. So I still think this is a game that I will play through once and probably never touch again. But that once through is more fun than I expected. It's very much a tech demo though. It's a very pretty, well-driven tech demo. And it keeps on giving me like musical instruments to shake around and things to break and interact with. Just like showing you what VR is, but I'm happy that Sony have people that do understand what VR is and are showing that can work and they can do it. So that's the thing that I've been playing. I also had only a little go to get some footage at Pavlov on the PlayStation VR 2. I've got Pavlov on the PC, and that is where I'll primarily play it if I decide to keep on going with Pavlov. If you're not aware of it, Pavlov is made by a very, very small team. Quite a long time ago, it's probably like 2017-ish maybe that it actually came out, and it's just a 5v5 Counter-Strike Go-like, I guess is what it's trying to mimic. So the default game mode in it when it launched was teams of 5, one of you is planting a bomb and the other one's trying to defuse it or eliminate the other team. They've added a few other kind of standard modes that you'd expect, but it's very much that kind of game. And in terms of maps and content, it was relatively light for a long time. The studio has grown and built it out as they've gone along. And on the PC side of it, the mod community have added tons and tons and tons of stuff. So on the PC side, you can play that game forever and always find fantastical new things to do. You can play a Halo version of it if you want to, or anything like that. There's loads to do. But the PlayStation version doesn't support mods like that. So it's got the content that the dev studio, whose name I've temporarily forgotten, have put in there. There's plenty to do, but it's quite a mixed standard. Some of the maps are fairly ugly and some of them are quite gorgeous. And I was only playing around on its gun mode, which is taken from, I don't know, probably a Call of Duty game, where you have a particular weapon like given to you. You get a kill with it and your weapon changes to a different one. Then you carry on and try and cycle through the weapons and top the leaderboard. I played it like that and it was a lot of fun. But aiming two-handed weapons in virtual reality is quite difficult. Still, I was amazing, and that was Pavlov. What else have I played, and what else have you played? Kratos is still listing some cool retro stuff. Cool. You see, you haven't opened Metroid Prime, but you've got Sega 3DS games, Sonic 2, Streets of Rage 2, Space Harrier. I hated Space Harrier. I hated Space Harrier so much. You own most of Sega from past purchases, yeah. Space Harrier. Oh, what was the other one that they had? Afterburner. I liked Afterburner, okay. Just making sure I didn't have the two things confused. Yeah, I had Space Harrier on an Atari ST at some point, and I didn't have a good time and didn't get very far. You have Afterburner as well, of course, of course. And you've been dropping a lot of hours on your 3DS the last 2 weeks. So, Kratos, do you play the 3DS or generally other like handheld portable kind of consoles? Do you play them when you're at home and like big screen gaming would be an option for you, or do you strictly play them when you're out and about and don't have access to a console or PC or whatever? For me, the reason that I don't touch portable stuff is that I never play games when I don't have either a VR headset or a TV available, and they just never appeal as much as those other experiences. But some people would choose it as a preference, even if they had all those options available. And I don't know, you seem to play a lot, so I'm wondering if that's you. What else have I played on my virtual reality headset? Some other things. I will get to pancake games that I played as well, because this is very much a mixed show of all the different things that I enjoy, which is everything. I like gaming a bit too much. Bit too much, it's not healthy. But hey, that's fun. So, I've also played... What else did I play in VR? Definitely more stuff. Definitely more stuff. I don't know. Some other things. They'll appear in other videos and stuff like that, I'm sure. Pancake-wise, who's been playing Wolong? I spoke a little bit about Wolong on Saturday on Go Live, and I haven't played it more since then. I've only played up to the first boss, and I've only seen the first boss once. Once. I haven't had repeated attempts to try and beat it. But Wolong hasn't convinced me that it's a good game yet. And I see some people really love it, but the people that really love it seem to say it's not a very good game, but I love it anyway, and I don't really understand what's to love about it if you don't like it. Patrick, you think it's going to be your next game. So did you do like the Ninja Gaidens though? I heard that the Neo games are also along those lines. You kind of just want to go back to Elden Ring. I want to go back to Elden Ring as well. I do. Or like just the talk that resurfaced because they're releasing that expansion pack for it made me think, oh yeah, I really do need to go and finish my Elden Ring. Just watch this guy die and then he can go away. Yeah, he got you in. Cool, that's enough Horizon. Kratos, you're playing Wolong. What are you playing it on, Kratos? Are you game passing it or did you buy it on the PlayStation? You've only put 15 minutes into it last night. So my problem with it, one, it's fairly ugly and very linear, like very restricted in where you can and can't go, but I am on the tutorial, like the opening of the game, so that's maybe fair enough. But it is quite ugly, and my problem is the combat doesn't feel brilliant to begin with. It feels very like slash 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 slash. And the parry and the dodge button are one and the same, which I don't like. I don't understand why they are such. If you, on the Xbox it's B, if you tap B at the right time, then you'll parry a blow. But if you double tap it, then it becomes your dodge. And that's a weirdly awkward way to do it. I don't see why they need to share the same button. I'm brilliant, Painful Discourse. Like I say, I've only played it up to that boss and only got to that boss once. Got into his phase 2, got blown up and went, oh, that's interesting, and then ran out of time. But I haven't felt any need to go back to it. Like it hasn't won me over on that intro sequence. I've read people say that there's a block button. I didn't even know there was a block button. Apparently you can hold block and then like still use the parry mid block, so you can keep yourself protected and parry to make the game a lot easier than it otherwise is. But don't know about that. I guess I'll give it a go though. John Rocks, welcome along. You've been on Call of the Mountain, Gran Turismo 7 and Thumper. It's not long till Switchback. I'm very much looking forward to Switchback. That's 16th, is it? That is soon. So this month in PlayStation VR land, you've got Switchback and you've got The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 2 and 1 kind of. Both things are very enticing. Strongly recommend John Rocks. If you haven't played the Walking Dead games, then go for both of those as well. Thumper I don't have. I've never actually played Thumper. But if you do like the rhythm games, I still think Pistol Whip is the most fun of them. It's a bit of a workout compared to the sit-down ones, but very entertaining. Patrick, the parry-centric combat is what's making you kind of rather just go back to Elden Ring if you're going to play a Souls-like. Elden Ring is obviously you can opt to play with a fair amount of parrying though. Like I really enjoyed the God of War combat because it feels both heavy and fast. The Souls games in Elden Ring, they feel slow and methodical. Wolong just goes a little bit too far in the opposite direction. It just feels whooshy, like slash 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 slash. Thumper is amazing and the PlayStation VR 2 version is the best yet. So tell me about Thumper. What makes it better than Beat Saber and Synth Riders and Pistol Whip and all the other kind of rhythm games? It is a rhythm game, right? Or am I wrong about the whole concept of what that game is? Chris Blackburn, you really enjoyed Pistol Whip on the Quest 2 and you're looking forward to Peaky Blinders. Yeah, Peaky Blinders is out. I think the review embargo dropped today. It might even be out today or tomorrow. And it could be... I've never watched the Peaky Blinders series. I've got no connection to the world. But it looks like it's hopefully, probably, maybe a game on like the kind of caliber that Resident Evil 4 offers. Like a proper game that you can play on the Quest that will make you go, wow, I'm really impressed that this thing strapped to my face can deliver a game that looks and plays like this. Space Denizen Thumper is a rhythm game but with a gamepad and no motion controls, and it's psychedelic. Yeah. I can't say I'm completely sold on it. I'll take your word that you're having fun though. So I have like quite recently been on I've generally acknowledged that rhythm-based games like take me to a good place mentally. Because there's just something about concentrating on the visuals but the audio at the same time. It just like takes away stress, so I can play things like Pistol Whip and I just feel good. What was the other one? Metal Hellsinger, I played a bunch of that. Hi-Fi Rush is another one. If you're trying to play but also trying to focus on a beat, everything else goes away. And obviously in VR, that's going to work even more so because everything's better in VR, right? So maybe I should have a go at Thumper. But I am like desperately poor for the month. So if I can reserve any funds, it's got to be for Switchback, which I really want to play. Chris, Fallout 4 install is ready to start, but you're going to wait until after the stream. That's overly polite of you. You can do both. No, you're going to need to hear all of the dialogue and stuff. But yeah, I hope you do enjoy it. Next week I'll expect a full report on what you think of Fallout 4 and RPGs as a genre. But Fallout 4 and Bethesda's games are, like I said earlier, quite a specific type. There's a lot of games that vaguely fit, but none of them are quite like a Bethesda game. And you can broaden those horizons to go well away from everything about it. I don't know how you've managed to avoid RPGs altogether. They're some of my favourite games. Try the Rhythm Heaven demo on the 3DS. That's what sold you the full version. What's the new... There's a... Is that new, Rhythm Heaven? There's a new Switch game, or a new Nintendo game of some kind. The one that has all of the Final Fantasy music. What's that called? I haven't got it, but I did see it and saw it reviewing very well. Space Denizen, you played a fun Quest 2 game called Pong this morning. You don't know why it's called Pong though, as it's actually Breakout. Breakout using your hand as a paddle. Is the wall in front of you? Or do you have to crane your neck up and try and hit like ceiling tiles? There's quite a few competitive games in the VR space that follow that kind of model. It's just a take on racket sports. So you can do actual racket sports, like table tennis works really well in VR. But there's also multiplayer breakout things, and I can't remember the name of them. There's something like Sea Smash that's coming from to the PlayStation VR 2 that's based on some old Sega arcade that I've never heard of. But there's already there's like a Spark something. I can't remember. There's a fairly well established one on the PC VR side that's presumably on Quest as well. Because it works, hitting stuff in VR with a racket makes a lot of sense. Hitting stuff in multiplayer and trying to win makes a lot of sense. Final Fantasy Rhythm game, you've heard that it's great as well. Yeah, I also heard that it's great. Oh, there's so much that I want to play. I also I want to go on a little PC VR kick, picking up some of the older games that were really good. I think there was a period in virtual reality gaming where fairly big games came out and people weren't satisfied, just because there was always a want for more. But since then, the amount of games coming to PC VR and all the rest of it has dropped off quite heavily, to a point that you look back at those days and think, wow, Robo Recall was brilliant. I want to play it. Asgard's Wrath, people criticised it, but it was brilliant compared to what we're getting now. And I've got all of those working in a way that I can stream them, so you're gonna see some. Jet Island, I've never quite got myself into it. I know the game, and I don't trust my VR legs just yet, but I might give it a go. I got fairly resilient to feeling sick, so maybe. Spark, so yeah, you do know Spark. Is it dead? I didn't know the game had gone. I didn't know they'd shut it down. That is a travesty. Oh well. Like, blah. That is sad, actually. Especially when surely it couldn't have, like, needed that much maintenance to keep it up and running. Oh well. Same with, obviously not the same entirely, but the Echo VR. So the spin-off of Lone Echo. Lone Echo was made by Ready at Dawn that did The Order 1886. It's one of the biggest, or by reputation, it's one of the biggest and best games in virtual reality. And Echo VR was the multiplayer spin-off. And Echo Arena was a spin-off of a spin-off that let you shoot each other. And that was owned by, well, it is owned by Meta, and they're being dickheads and shutting it down. It's one of the most popular, most played competitive VR games. It has a real dedicated community like that play it as a sport, and they're just shutting it down because they're arses. Bloody Meta. I love the Meta Quest Pro as a PC VR headset, but I do not trust that company in the slightest. Same with all the other companies though, really. Population 1 is free on the Quest right now. I hear that it's also free on the Rift store for what that is, but not on Steam. I've been meaning to play Population 1 for the longest time. It's for those that don't know, it's a battle royale game. My voice is going already. It's a battle royale game that you can play in VR. It takes some cues from Fortnite in that it lets you build and all the rest of it. And I've never actually played it. My reason for not playing it is that I think, and I could be wrong, but I think it insisted upon... Oh, they've got a free-to-play launch trailer. Let's watch that. I think it insisted upon playing in threes, and I'm, even in VR, quite antisocial. And I wanted to just dick around by myself, get used to killing people and movement and stuff, rather than having to make friends. Yeah, I will give that a go at some point. Chris Blackburn, you're on the Series X, you're a Series X and Quest 2 gamer. Would I say that a good high-spec gaming PC would be the best experience? Launch of the Xbox Series X got you back into gaming after about 15 years away. Not necessarily, Chris. There's pros and cons. I would never disregard the console experience for the quality that it brings. So PCs can obviously outperform consoles. They can bring you like the ultimate experience, but they absolutely come with headaches to this day. There's just something about consoles. The simplicity of being able to get into a game is more valuable than some people credit it for. Obviously a PC can do the things that a console can, and you can get a PC and you can very much tweak it and configure it and set it up to play and behave like a console. You can plug it into the TV in your front room. You can launch it straight into like Steam Big Picture or GOG. Well, I can't remember what that stands for. They have a launcher that pulls in games from all the different Steam, Epic kind of platforms and give them a nice console interface so that you can get in there and play. But there will always be a degree more configuration and tweaking and troubleshooting than there is on a console. So it depends what you're after. If you really want to push visual fidelity and you want to do that, then yeah, PC is brilliant. But if you just want to relax and play some games and you're not actually that bothered about the nitty gritty of it, consoles are the way. For me, I do it all. Like, I've got a good PC, I've got the consoles, and I split my time between them fairly evenly. PlayStation and VR2 going to be getting great official VR games. PC is best for VR mods and VR chat. Yeah, so my PlayStation VR2 review does touch very briefly on where it stands next to PC VR and stuff like that as well, and the whole console experience of it. But I must say the cable does get irritating when you get used to playing VR without that cable, especially because I'm a stand-up turn-around kind of player. I don't like to turn with a stick, so I have been choking myself quite nicely with the PlayStation cable. So I will be using all of them, because like you say, the PlayStation VR2 should get a certain amount of exclusive games that you can only play there, and they're well worth playing there, because it is a very good headset. So Horizon, Switchback, things like that. Patrick, my PC does not have any 40 series graphics card in it. What are we clipping? Why are we clipping? Don't do that. You're going to eat custard in the bath. Are you going to fill the bath with custard? That would be a lot of custard. I don't understand what the clip is, but that's fine. What else? So what else have I been playing? I finished Hi-Fi Rush at last. That's a thing, I spoke about it week in, week out, like, oh, I played a little bit of Hi-Fi Rush. I've been slowly progressing through Hi-Fi Rush for, like, probably at least 4 different episodes of this. We've had the 2-week break. I've used that 2-week break to finally push through to the end, which is to say, I beat the boss, like the final boss, who was more difficult than the rest of the game. He actually killed me a couple of times. And then the game obviously opens up, it lets you replay certain things and do various challenges, and I haven't done any of that and don't intend to, but got to the end of the game. That was a good time. I'm sure most people are well aware of Hi-Fi Rush by now and have either played it or decided that they don't want to. But for me, good game. Happy that I got through it. Happy that it came out and filled a little bit of time. What else have I played in VR? Is anyone playing Halo Season 3? In fact, I've seen a few people have mentioned that they play Call of Duty, which I can't stand. I do not like Call of Duty games, which is a personal issue whereby I am not capable of processing visually who is a friend and who is an enemy in that game. I do not like games where friend and enemy both wear camouflage and you're supposed to look at the dot above their head or what colour iconography they've got above them. Doesn't work for me. So every time I'm like, oh, there's a person, are they a friend? Oh, I'm dead. And I don't like it. So I don't play Call of Duty. But Halo, I do want to play. So Painful Discourse, how is Season 3 for you? Have they added a lot? What keeps you going back to Halo? Because for me, of all of the multiplayer games, you've got like Apex Legends, I find visually very reasonable and playable. Like, I can identify who I'm supposed to be killing and who I'm not. but I don't really like battle royales very much. Halo should be like an ideal pancake shooter for me. If I have the appetite to go and shoot people with a keyboard and mouse or a control pad, rather than picking up the guns and doing it in VR properly, then Halo should be the one, but I haven't got there. Space Denizen, I've played very little Walkabout mini golf, but I do adore it. It's brilliant. Walkabout mini golf is mini golf, crazy golf, wild courses, some themed around various weird, I don't know, it's probably some game themed ones, but a little bit more wacky than you could get in real life mini golf, but otherwise it's just mini golf. And it works really, really well. Patrick, you've played a bit of Season 3. It's Halo. It's awesome. What are you playing it? What's the go-to game mode that the cool people are doing? Because when it came out, I just did a bit of big team battle so that I was like blending in and not very noticeable. But I'm sure, and I said this with Halo 5 as well, I think the tighter like 4 versus 4 modes are probably more fun. I reckon I could get really into that in the way that I used to be in Quake 3, except I'd have to play it enough to actually be good at it in order to have fun doing that. And I have not done that. Painful Discourse, you like the sandbox in Halo, the level 12 in Battle Pass and the weekly challenge. What sandbox? What sandbox? I don't care for weekly and daily challenges, that's for sure. It's one of the things that put me off of playing Infinite, actually. Patrick, you're just jumping into Arena. You don't really do big team battle. Does Arena still cycle like the small scale game types? So the like Control, the 3 points, domination, or whatever they call it, King of the Hill. I don't know what Halo's terminology is anymore. A bit of oddball, or is it just like team deathmatch over and over again? Painful Discourse, how many new maps are there, and how do any of you touch the Forge content? Is that a good time? Oh, sandbox is in the overall physics and gunplay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's a signature Halo feature. That makes it what it is, I suppose. Forge is nice. Maybe I should try and get a little bit more Halo played at some point. And are you both controller gamers? Are you playing on your Xboxes or on your PC with a controller? Some of the Forge maps are awesome. You tried making your own, but you couldn't dedicate the time to make a good one. Yeah, time is difficult to find. It's the same, there's obviously been quite a few games that have really intricate creative modes for people that do have the time, and I'm sure they take a lot from it. So Halo has Forge, is obviously good, but things like Forza Horizon had a really good creative mode as well. And then you can obviously look at things like Little Big Planet and Dreams that are entirely creative boxes for people to go and make stuff. And Roblox, if you really want to take it to an extreme. And I get the appeal of these entirely, but not the time or the talent to make things. And if I did have the time and the talent to make things, I'm not sure if I would be better served using like Halo Forge or learning to make something properly in Unity or Unreal or anything like that. Which is something that I want to pursue further. I did start to look at some of that and then ran out of time again. So it is what it is. Where are we? 20 past 10. Whoa, that's quite late. I don't know how long it's been there, but the Q&A box is up, so anyone wanting to leave particular questions that we shall address, then please do in there. I think I might go to those fairly soon because I didn't really plan any topics today. I'm going to have a look at... what am I going to have a look at? What's for dinner? Welcome, Tony. We were talking about you. And Scott Pilgrim. Patrick, I know that you are laying out the groundwork for your own game. I know that you're into doing all of that. I'm working on it at the moment. And I'm very interested in how that's going. But I won't ask you to spill it all here. You just got in the bath. So you can't cycle through the questions. My heart is immune to breakage, Patrick, because I ejected it as a child. Don't need one of those. Is that everything that I've played in the last 2 weeks? I bet it's not. I bet there have been some others. But I can't remember them. I can't remember them. What else is coming in March? No, Tony, you won't be able to. No heart to break. What have you been playing, Tony? You've been playing Overwatch. Got replaced with an iPod. I don't think Hi-Fi Rush is supposed to be Apple branded, is it? Hope not. Hope not. I've run out of topics because I didn't plan this. Because I ran out of time. Final Fantasy 16. Which topics have we done? We haven't done any topics, Isla. There have been 0 topics. We've had just a nice free conversation about what people have been playing. There is no recap. There is no but. Tony's finished God of War. Gears of War, God of War. Oh, you got your PC, so that'll be God of War. God of War 2018. Did you love it, Tony? Are you looking forward to Ragnarok? Overwatch 2, you're ranked at Grandmaster 2. Is that good? Is that better than you were before? I thought you were like top 5 in the universe. The title. What's in the title? What is in the title today? I said some stuff that rhymes because I'm an idiot. It didn't mean anything beyond the rhymes though. Robot Terror. Atomic Heart scares Tony. Yeah, I don't think it does. I think Tony's enjoying the robots a little too much. It was good and you're looking forwards to God of War 2. Interesting. John Rocks says the headset rumble and thumper is violent and you may be concussed. I'm not sure about that head rumble yet. Like, I'm not sure I've noticed that being massively cool. Usually the headset starts to rumble and I start to think, oh no, I hope this isn't like ruining my recording. Because I figure if the headset is rumbling, it's likely that the visor is actually rumbling as well. And you don't... It's a funny thing with headset rumbling and content creation in general. If you're wearing a virtual reality headset and you swing your head fast, the headset itself has a tendency to sway more than you'd expect. It's just like natural momentum from looking around. And when you're in the headset, your eyes are focused on something in the universe. So the headset shifting doesn't actually make a single bit of difference to you. If you're focused on like a target that you're shooting and the headset moves, it doesn't matter. Your eyes are still focused on that target. But the recording, the recording gets nasty. So when the PlaaaaayStaaaation VR headset does its haptics and starts shaking, it makes me wonder, is the recording getting nasty now? Is the recording getting nasty? Because everything I do for all of you, right? Sometimes I play offline. As a FDU, Starfield VR when? Sadly, officially, probably never. Because Microsoft suck. But the modding community, let's hope that someone at Bethesda leaves everything open enough that a proper, thorough, in-depth Starfield VR can exist, even if it does have to get made by the community. I'm sure there will be people dedicated enough to do it. So, in which case, Starfield VR, probably a week or 2 after launch. But Starfield VR that you'd actually want to get into and play and have a good time, probably more like 4, 6, 12 months after launch. When all of the interactions are on point and every little detail has been properly converted. And maybe I won't touch Starfield very much until that point in time. I'll have to play it at least a bit in its pancake iteration, I'm sure. So Chris, having just got back into gaming, you love playing the Halo Master Chief Collection. You're onto Gears 2 now. I think a similar bundle will be created for the Gears series. Like, it's just money on the table, isn't it? I'm sure it will at some point. There's been rumours of a Gears collection for the longest time. and it's just not there yet. But I'd be surprised if it's not happening somewhere at some point. The only reason not to is if they preferred to release them one at a time. Obviously they already did Gears 1 Ultimate, or whatever they called it, and they could make more money if they sell them one at a time and people buy them individually. But then, do people buy games on Xbox? No, everyone's just on Game Pass, right? So they might as well do an Ultimate Collection and sell some statues with it. I don't know. Chris, so as a 15 years, then you might have played Halo when it came out, but you obviously had a big gap. As a recent player of the Halo series from start to finish, when was it best? Which era of Halo was like peak Halo? These are the ones that told the best story, had the best gameplay, all round like peak Halo. Patrick, you think that it's too late for them to change that much? Wait. Justice League delayed. Why? Is the online service going away? Justice League has been delayed. There's not even a Justice League game. Do you mean Suicide Squad? Have they delayed Suicide Squad? Tony, you're not allowed to answer the Halo question because you are like me. You are jaded. You've played them all as they've come out over a period of like 20 years or whatever. But Chris has a different perspective, as he's been away from gaming altogether for 15 years and then come along and played through them all. And it's always very difficult to like understand other people's perspective without directly asking. Like, people that have a similar viewpoint to me. Tony, I'm afraid, yeah, you're jaded like me. You having the same opinion as me isn't necessarily a big surprise, but it's interesting to see what other people think of things from different angles. There are rumours about a Suicide Squad delay. It would be nice if it got delayed on account of negative feedback, because it did get fairly negative feedback after that last trailer. Despite the fact that I thought gameplay-wise it looked pretty fun, like quite different to most other things, but pretty fun. But they did show horrible Battle Pass nonsense. So, what's it called? Suicide Squad game. Nyom. No, I don't want to see that person talking about it. Official co-op gameplay. This should be a reasonable trailer to show. No one's identified the OST, by the way. Music is playing in the background. It's not a small game by any stretch, so I thought it would be identified, but it has not been yet. What did you miss, Kratos? Nothing. Azu, FDU, the problem with flat to VR mods is while you get the VR perspective, you don't usually get VR controls and interaction. No, Azu, you quite often do. There are some very good flat to VR mods that do give you not just the perspective, but also like motion controls and things like that. So, like, prime examples of it are the Resident Evil mods. So Resident Evil 7 VR never came to PC in like any official capacity, but it did come to PC via modders. You can play 7, you can play 8, and you can play the remakes of 2 and 3. And all of them feature proper motion controls. You're aiming with your hands and your guns. There's various other games that do that well. The thing that's normally missing in a flat to VR game, if you look at like a broad kind of spectrum of them, there's been a lot of games that have been converted into VR in one way or another, and the thing that's normally missing is a lot of those games aren't built with much interactivity in the environment. So you can play, and this is true of the Resident Evil ones to an extent as well, you can play them like a VR game, you can move like you're in VR, you can use your hands like you're in VR, but if there is like a vase on the table and you try and pick it up, or hit it with your gun, there's a fair chance that you can't. That's not an interaction that will be possible in the Pancake version where you don't have hands. In the Pancake one, you'd stand by the table, and if it didn't say hold A to interact with this thing, then there is no interaction. Whereas in virtual reality, you expect a little bit more freedom. But that, I don't think, when you talk about Starfield in particular, that's probably not a big issue, because Starfield and Bethesda's games have always been built to have physical interactions, a lot of objects that you can move and play with. And it's true of, and this is a weird one, but Skyrim VR, the official VR mode that Bethesda did and put out was actually very limited in the VR reactions, like interactions and controls and things that you could do. It was very much a conversion of the Pancake game. But because of all the like the weight and physics and details that were in there anyway, for all of the blocks of cheese and bowls and cutlery and food and weapons and everything else in the game, the modding community were able to take Skyrim and make it a proper VR game, well beyond what Bethesda did, so that you can go in there with your hands and you can knock things off the table and you can throw cheese at people and all of this kind of stuff. Starfield should be more along those lines. So I think it will take very little time for the modding community to do the camera work and let you be in the game and get that perspective. But I don't think it'll take very long for them to get your hands in there as well. The things that will take a bit more time are like cutscenes and stuff like that. They'll take a bit more figuring out. Certain movements, like if the game features ladders, which it does, then those take a bit of like specific conversion to actually be a good experience in virtual reality. You can button prompt it and control the camera, but really if you're going to do an ideal VR conversion, then you'd want to be able to climb that surface with your hands, and that kind of thing takes a lot longer. So it depends how complicated they go, but Starfield I would think would be very ripe for a good VR conversion on account of the fact that everything is so physical. And this is why when people talk about PlayStation's VR headset and like the hope or not for big games coming to that headset, the big hope for me and reason that hybrid development could work and could be a massive success for them is that the consoles are powerful enough, like the processors are powerful enough, that the world should be fairly physically interactive anyway. So from that point, to take a step into a virtual reality game to give you that interaction, to let you smash things with your hands, is not such a big ask. It should be a thing that is achievable, because all of the building blocks are kind of already there. Am I not watching Capcom's showcase? Pixel Slapper, I didn't even know Capcom have a showcase right now. What are they showcasing? I am off the pulse. Capcom showcase on the Resident Evil channel, official Capcom Europe. Let's have a little look. No, it looks terrible. Capcom have a showcase right now. I'm sorry everybody that's missing it, but you're only missing Mega Man. I wasn't even proper Mega Man at the point that I started it. Mega Man Legacy Collection, Resident Evil 4 and Street Fighter 6. Yeah, those have to be shown. That's what Capcom have in the works at the moment. I obviously like Capcom. They give me virtual reality games, so this is a showcase that could hold my interest. Resident Evil 4 VR, I would like to see it. I would also love to see them bring virtual reality to something like Monster Hunter and make a good game out of that. Besides that, wait 1 second. Acid Flare, welcome by the way. First time live in a while. It's the first time I've been live in a while. I missed last week. Hopefully everyone's good. I'm definitely doing fine. Do I think that you missed... Wait, you think I missed something with Starfield? Looting is done via a list, not individual items like Skyrim. See, I haven't seen much Starfield gameplay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those things aren't physically present in the world, because you loot by a list in Skyrim as well if you want. And Fallout. They are still there by list, but they also exist physically, and you can chuck them on the floor after you've looted them and all the rest of it. I'd be surprised if Starfield has toned down that element. Oh look, it's more Street Fighter. Who plays Street Fighter? What's better, Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 2? Don't say 3, nobody cares about 3. Liner is washing hair, that's fine. Exoprimal. They're going to show Exoprimal. Exoprimal looks kind of terrible, or it always has done. But that's fine, everyone's got space for a terrible game every now and again. Patrick, you can choose take all in Fallout 4 and Skyrim. You can. So, obviously I play more Skyrim than Fallout, but in Skyrim, it's all menu driven if you want it to be, but they are physical items, and once you take it, you literally see it disappear off of the person that was holding it, if it's that kind of like, if it's armor or weapon. Starfield, I mean, I'll be real surprised if they have taken that out. Hades 2 looks so good. Pixel Slapper, who's been showing Hades? That's not a Capcom game. Where have you been seeing this? I think it's well established fact and law that I adore Hades as a game. So Hades 2 is one that I'm very much looking forward to. But I didn't know they've shown some more of it. And to be fair, I don't need to see it. Like, Hades, I liked so much that I don't need to know a single thing about Hades 2. I know that I'm getting that one and I'm playing that one. Earlier today they showed some. Good. I'm going to leave the Capcom showcase playing at the moment, in case they show anything dramatic. I'm only half watching it, so if you see anything, shout. Painful Discourse, Soul Calibur better than Street Fighter. My problem with Soul Calibur is that they failed to evolve it at all since it became Soul Calibur. So it was Soul Edge on the PlayStation, which was fine, and then it came as Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast, was an incredible game. And Soul Calibur 6 is exactly the same game, except they took out the campaign. They just like failed to move it forwards in any meaningful way. Virtual Fight, see, Pixel Slapper, I liked Virtual Fighter, and I liked other games that were smoother and faster like it. So it's a bit silly, but I like Dead or Alive, which was built on the Virtual Fighter engine and played very similarly. It was just slightly simpler in some ways and had a lot more jiggle. I was never a massive fan of Tekken, and I'm still not, because that always felt weirdly clunky by comparison. But Street Fighter 2, I played a lot of Street Fighter 2 and had a good time with it. That had more of a rock paper scissors feel to it back in those days. And Street Fighter 2 was it was a fighting game released in the years before online play, which meant that everybody had the opportunity to feel like they were good at it, because everybody was only playing with their friends and everybody's friends sucked at it. So there is nobody like that is a proper gaming nerd like us that didn't own everybody on Street Fighter 2, because all the people that you were playing were very casual interest, hardly played it at all losers, so it was easy. But it meant that everybody felt really good at games back in those days. I felt really good at games back in those days, and then suddenly somewhere along the way they opened up online competitive play, and that's when you realise actually no, you kind of suck after all. And I say you, I mean me, I kind of suck. So Street Fighter hasn't landed for me since then, because I'm no longer the best at it. Patrick, your son calls Dead or Alive naked fighting. Which Dead or Alive? Because if you're talking about Dead or Alive 6 or whatever, like, it's less naked than it used to be. Acid Flare, you stomped people in arcades playing Street Fighter 2 Winner Stays On, but even then, Acid Flare, that's local. Like, you might get the occasional good person turning up at the arcade, but it's just whoever's out in the arcade. It's not the same as online play where they're like, good luck, you're against the world now. Small scale. Or your son, how old is your son, Patrick? Dead or Alive 4's not that recent. That was... I can't remember if they're up to 5 or 6 at the moment. And they did all their ultimate editions and all the rest of it. I don't know. I stopped following Dead or Alive a little bit, but it was a game, despite its silliness, it made more of an attempt to push forwards than Soul Calibur ever did. In the way that its mechanics were upgraded over time and the arenas became more and more like destructive or whatever. Until 5 or whatever. I've forgotten the fella's name, the sunglasses man that used to run it and made it good. He used to play it when he was 6 or 7. And, well, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball games, yes, Pixel Slapper, that was literally the whole point of those games, was like make them as close to naked as they could and take out the violence. I never played either of those. Some people will tell you that they were actually good games. Those people are liars. Probably. Acid Flare didn't matter. Town or arcade, most people sucked. Those who did not, you watched, learnt and beat. Fair enough. Problem with online is you don't get to learn the opponent before they're gone. Yeah. I guess that's true. I guess that's true. Vibram is not applicable right now. Oh, I guess it is. I don't know. I'm confused and lost. What's going on in this? Is this Exoprimal that they're showing now? Yeah, it must be. It must be. You guys were supposed to shout when anything was on there. Did this game look good yet? Probably not. I don't expect it to be good. Wow, it's got an open beta in like a few days, a week. And you can pre-order it, and there's like those things. Boob is always applicable. If only. Painful discourse. If only. But no. Problem with online. No, we've done that. We've done that. Acid Flare's looking at the dinos. Pixel Slapper. Where's Dino Crisis? Did you actually enjoy Dino Crisis? Does it? I know it has like a real audience, but I'm not convinced that it's like more than 3 people that are just setting up accounts. Like once every 6 months or so, they'll pop up on a new account and talk about Dino Crisis again. Lo-Fi on the PSVR 2 page right now. Another one for the wish list. Yeah, Lo-Fi looks really good. It's a cyberpunk kind of game that they're putting quite a bit of effort into. Here's hoping that it turns out. You can play Lo-Fi on PC VR already in a like early access kind of through. It's not through Steam though. It's like from their Kickstarter or some direct download from somewhere weird. What is this game and why is it running at 2 frames per second? Exoprimal still not showing at its best. Acid Flare. Day 1 on Game Pass. Oh, this game, Exoprimal, is day 1 on Game Pass. I don't know if Microsoft are as discerning as they used to be in terms of what they put on there and what they don't. But yes, Game Pass and Battle Passes are not a combination that I'm a big fan of. I don't want Game Pass to be like a weird entry fee to free-to-play games. Hopefully it won't turn out to be too much like that. You think Xbox got a Godfall on their hands? Yeah. Did you play Godfall? I played Godfall more than I care to admit, because I didn't play it a lot, but that's still more than I care to admit. I played it for like a couple of hours on the Xbox and a couple of hours on the PlayStation. And it wasn't like all bad. The combat was a little bit weird, but it wasn't all bad. It just didn't have any kind of compelling story or progression model at all. Pixel Slapper, you enjoyed Dino Crisis. To be fair, the Xbox version in space had awkward camera angles, but yeah, you're a fan. So Dino Crisis, I played Resident Evil 1. No, did I? Yeah, I played Resident Evil 1. No, I might not have. I can't remember if I played Resident Evil 1. I played Resident Evil 2 for sure. And I played Resident Evil Code Veronica for sure. Must have played 3 as well. But beyond those, like that was enough of that like isometric micro machines controlling, like the clockwise, anti-clockwise movement, stomping around. Gameplay, I was never a big fan of, so I didn't play many beyond the Resident Evil games. I did not play Dino Crisis. I did play Silent Hill actually, but I'd never got past Pyramid Head, so wasn't for me. And I stayed clear of horror games until 2 or 3 years ago when I started playing them because they're quite entertaining to stream. And then it turns out I quite like horror games. So if they do a new Dino Crisis and they remake it, sure, I'll get there. But when I say I am now a fan of horror games, I'd still rather not. I played the medium that has the whole awkward movement. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that control scheme at all. Pixel Slapper, you finished Resident Evil 1 with 1 ink. What does that mean? Is that connected to the save system or something? Wayne, you've been watching TV with the wife. How's things, everyone? Brilliant, Wayne. Everything is going well. Have I seen Organ Quarter? I've heard of Organ Quarter. I've not looked into it and I've not played it. VR horror is terrifying. I'm still working my way through Resident Evil 7, which I play every now and again on my treadmill with my heart rate monitor. Like, even games that aren't meant to be scary can be terrifying in virtual reality because everything is so big and present and big. I don't know why I'm playing Resident Evil 7, but I do need to get back to it. In Resident Evil 1, you had to collect opportunities to use the typewriter, did you? Or oh no, it had a count, didn't it? It used to, so it would reward you for saving in frequently, and at the end of it, it would be like, wow. So you managed to get through the whole of Resident Evil only saving it once. Did you just like leave the console one overnight, or did you play it in 2 sittings? I don't have any kind of concept of how long Resident Evil was. I can't remember. Ghost Trick will be reborn in high resolution with new music. No, I don't know what Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is, but I like that guy's hat. So what? So Switchback, Space Denizen, you mentioned earlier that Switchback is coming in a week or whatever. You started again many times. Okay, fair enough, Pixel Slapper. You mentioned Switchback. For those that don't know, Switchback is a PlayStation VR 2 game that is weirdly set on some kind of horror roller coaster, but it looks like it uses the eye tracking in that headset to nasty effect to be scary. Like, it's literally a jump scare game, but it has mannequins that only move when you blink and close your eyes and stuff like that. So that'll be a game that I stream with the old heart rate monitor. The Resident Evil games I still hate, and I've said before, but I hate the puzzles in those games more than I hate the horror. Because Resident Evil 7 puzzles are like anti-logic puzzles. They're like, why would this house be built this way puzzles. Just keep interacting with everything kind of puzzles rather than having any logical reason to them. So I hate Resident Evil puzzles. Fortunately, Resident Evil has enough like atmosphere and interest to keep me playing through it, but the puzzles upset me. Yes, Peter Morland, it is the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who, made real as mannequins in Switchback VR. And the Weeping Angels were like I'm not going to say scary because Doctor Who's not really scary, but of the more recent like New Age Doctor Who, they're by far and away the most nasty of the enemies. I don't want to encounter that in real life, but I do. Yes, I said real life. I meant virtual reality. Those are one and the same. You still smile when you turn up at the dinner table. Yeah. Alright. I'm trying to remember. So on Resident Evil 7, because obviously I've got Resident Evil 8 on as like a signature PlayStation VR 2 title, and I don't feel like I should play it. I've got Resident Evil 8 in my background as well. Just because it was easy to capture, to be honest. Didn't have much time to capture today, so I got you a nice simple background. I figured I should finish Resident Evil 7 before I start my Resident Evil 8, especially as I can see that the story is a direct continuation. But I don't know how long it is, and it's quite intimidating. It feels like I've been playing it for frickin' ages, but when I think about what I've actually done in that game, I think I'm probably about 10 minutes into it. Like, I've sat at the dinner table, so this is the very start of the game. I've been like, oh, I found a house, and oh, I'm going to have the dinner. It's all setting up the game and being intimidating. I've escaped that one scenario, fought a guy in a garage, and then walked into the next room. I think that's about as far through Resident Evil as I've got. I think I've got a long way to go, and it's going to take me a very long time getting through. What am I looking at now? Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really get along with Monster Hunter Rise again. What's the story game called? I'm getting my Monster Hunters confused. Yeah. Here's some Resident Evil series news. Moffat and Davis era, best era of the newer Doctor Who. AJH is, yeah, probably. I can't go into Doctor Who right now. And I can't remember who wrote what and when. You're still in the first third at most. Space Denizen, that's devastating. It's going to take me so long to get through Resident Evil 7, but I can't do more than, like, I set with the best of intentions a plan to play. What's Death Island? I wasn't watching. I hope you guys are watching. What is Resident Evil Death Island? Oh no, that's the CGI movie thing. I'm less interested. I thought it was going to be a game. Resident Evil 7, I go about it with the best of intentions to play a chunk of it, and I get like 20 minutes in and start thinking, whoa, this is a bit much. And if I can last an hour, then I've done very well. It's going to take me so long to get through that game. Resident Evil 4. Show me the VR. I need to know if it's the whole game or not. That guy needs to borrow the other guy's hat to keep my interest. Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter has such like a dedicated following though of people that love and adore it. I didn't play, but I launched Wild Hearts today, thinking of that as a potential background. Oh, that's an ugly game. It's a lot more responsive and fun than Monster Hunter like already, but oh, it's ugly. Pixel Slapper, you've missed a few hours, you got VR2. Wait. That sentence makes no sense to me, Pixel Slapper. You've missed a few oh, you've missed not hours, my eyes aren't working. You missed a few shows. I have got PlayStation VR 2, yes. So Pixel Slapper and anybody else is interested in the PlayStation VR 2. I've done a very thorough, long-winded, deep dive review of it. That will appear soon. It's all done, it's uploaded. It's ready to share. Maybe today, maybe not. I don't know what time it is. I need to get off this show and figure that one out. So I'll let you know. But yes, there will be lots of thoughts on the PlayStation VR 2 there. And of course, you can ask any questions about it here. And it will keep appearing in streams and other things. But I also have lots of plans for other streams too. PC VR and Pancake and all the rest of it. Is that guy's glasses raising an eyebrow? Oh, I've missed him. I need to check. Next time he's there, I'll see if he's got an eyebrow resting on the rim of his glasses. Let's... So, Isla, I need a sign. Are you nearly ready to run through the questions for me? Because I'm ready to go through the questions. Which makes it a relatively short show because I started really late, but it's still nice. So many of you have come back again. I really do appreciate it. All of the talk about all of the games. I've really gone into it with no topics lined up at all today, and I'm very aware that shows, and I do apologise. Next week, the topics, there will be topics of some kind. You're correct, it does. I think it's more so that the hair on one side is covering the equivalent eyebrow, but it does look like his glasses are raising one eyebrow. Did they show my virtual reality yet? For Resident Evil 4 Remake 4. I actually played I played 2 Remake and 3 Remake in Pancake mode. On stream actually, like in their entirety from start to finish. Before I was brave enough to play the Resident Evil games in VR. The Resident Evil series, there was some stuff. It said some things. Monster Hunter is doing some things. My lack of reading powers is letting me down. Where's the VR talk? No! All of those games in VR, please. Oh well. So Outriders wasn't right for music. No, Tony, I'm afraid the music is not Outriders. It is not Outriders. Nobody has got the OST correct so far. But I am aware that parts of it are quite difficult. Parts of it wouldn't be familiar. You've missed the signature themes that were playing earlier. They will return. 4 has peak gaming, punching boulders the size of... Oh, I didn't know that was in 4. Punching the boulders is like everybody knows it as ridiculous, but I didn't know that was 4. I assumed that was 5 or 6, like one of the Resident Evils that was considered to be less good. Because I've never played 4. Did we talk about Starfield, or did we make makes me sense? We haven't really talked about Starfield. But I'm not sure. Oh no, Capcom's finished. Blah, 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 gone. Capcom's gone. Thanks for watching. You're welcome, Capcom. But I kind of didn't. Didn't really watch that at all. So Starfield have shown us their release date, right? And they went, whoa, it's September 6th or whatever it is. And I don't very much know what else there is to say about that. Are we angry? Are we disappointed? Are we... fine with that? Are we looking forward to it? You tell me while I do the old... We haven't had this for a while. Haven't had this for a while. Q&A Seception in the background. Whoa. So obviously some people are quite disappointed that Microsoft announced Starfield is coming within a 12-month window and didn't hit that 12-month window. Some people care about that. Can't say I massively do. Patrick is delighted. Acid Flare, Final Fantasy VI has used Suplex Train. Final Fantasy VI is on my backlog. I'm going to play it one day. Some people say it's better than 7. That's enough of me. The game looks much improved. Did they show any of the game? So from what I saw of the reveal announcement, they showed some spinny stuff and whatever. And they showed some people playing the game like in the studio or whatever. But it wasn't very much of a gameplay trailer, right? Acid Flare, pissed they showed 9/6/23. Anyone outside the US read it as June the 6th? Maybe it is June the 6th. Has somebody come out and clarified? Have we had all of this outrage that they missed the 12-month window when actually they're well in it and they just used the wrong date format? AJH, am I going to play the Peaky Blinders VR game and turn into a Brummie? Well, I haven't played the Quest Resident Evil 4 yet. Like Quest native games, and I've only dabbled a little bit in Iron Man. So Peaky Blinders I think is probably going to be well worth it playing the Quest. One of the main reasons that I don't do it is I haven't got a very effective way to... my voice is going. I haven't got a very effective way to stream it and share it yet. And most of what I play I try and stream and share. And that includes the VR games. What I do have is I do have the Quest native games working with my treadmill now. So I've got one part, like one essential piece of the puzzle sorted out. I could play Peaky Blinders and I could walk around on the treadmill. That would be fun. I need to dig into side quest and things like that to see if I can pull a good quality video feed out of that thing if I'm playing it natively. And if I can do that and make it like a shared experience, then yes, I'll get to Peaky Blinders at some point. I'm not like a fan of the series or universe. Universe being obviously ours at some point. I've never watched Peaky Blinders. I don't know the series. I don't know the characters. So it hasn't got any big significance or meaning for me. But it is like a high caliber game that Meta have poured some money into. So I will give it a go, hopefully. But not tomorrow. Not like as soon as it comes out. I've got many things to play. I want to get through the whole of Robo Recall and the whole of Asgard's Wrath and the whole of Lone Echo and the whole of Lone Echo 2. Maybe the whole of Edge of Nowhere and the whole of Half-Life Alyx and maybe The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 1 and 2 before I get to Peaky Blinders. Maybe Resident Evil 4. Maybe both the Resident Evil games. Definitely Horizon Call of the Mountain. Definitely Switchback. I'm not like... Some people say there's not enough VR games to play. There are a lot of games out there. I'm going to play a lot of them. It's going to be fun. Oh, why is there so little time? Anyway, let's see if we can do these questions. Oh, the first question is up already. I'm ready for questions. So it's not too late to enter new ones, but we're going to go through these one at a time. I don't have many questions. Well, if anybody has any they want to add to spin off a conversation or just ask anything, it can be about the pancakes, it can be about the VR, it can be about anything you like, really. We'll run through those. And when I get to the end of the questions, it's the end of the show. You feel awful? Well, let's speed through them then. Nyam. Tony has asked, does Patrick love Darge, or is it one-way love? Darge is hard to please. Without... If it was one-way love, then that would imply that Darge already loves Patrick. And I'm not certain of that. Haven't seen Darge for a couple of weeks, so I need to check in on him in a bit. Make sure he's alright. But Tony, I'm not a mind or a heart reader, so I can't tell you. Patrick's here though, maybe Patrick can tell you. Azza FDU has asked, will Bethesda ever make VR games again now that Microsoft own them? No. And I've said before and I'll say it again, I don't think Microsoft should be allowed to acquire any new studios ever again until they let their studios make some VR games. They need to let Playground do Forza. They need to let In Exile do another Mage's Tale. They need to let Ninja Theory do another VR game of whatever type they like. And they need to let Bethesda, because Bethesda were one of the biggest, like, front-running supporters of virtual reality before they were bought. With Doom and Fallout and Skyrim. And they even, after they were bought, they still released Doom 3 on the PlayStation VR. Like, they were still in it. They were still pushing VR at the point that Microsoft bought them. Then they came along and ruined it. But as Microsoft won't let us have Forza in VR, I really don't think that we're going to get any Bethesda games in there. And I don't think it's because Bethesda lacks the appetite to do it. But Microsoft clearly don't have an appetite to endorse that and fund it. So, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if Bethesda leave some generous hooks in there for the modding community to make things possible. The next question is... I was saying, generally on that though, whenever Microsoft acquire anyone, including Activision, Blizzard, King, whatever, but anyone that they acquire going forwards is always a bittersweet pill, because it's nice that they're going to bring games to Game Pass and you don't have to pay for them anymore. Like, cool, that's good. But it sucks that those studios are just not going to be allowed to work in VR anymore. So I'm always like split on that one. You barely knew who David Bowie was. That Major Tom song freaks you out. You're scared of space. Very confusing. Peter Morland, do we still miss David Bowie? Answer poll, answer yes. I'm the wrong person to ask because I don't really follow people. Celebrity status means nothing to me, so. Maybe Starfield has VR contracts in negotiations. I very much doubt it, Pixel Slapper. Very much doubt it. So, next question, please. Obviously, Starfield coming to VR would be a massively big deal. But Xbox just allowing VR will be huge. It's not even just that, Acid Flare. It's not just like allowing it onto the Xbox console. Microsoft have a massively, clearly dominant position in the PC space and have many gaming studios. So it would be very nice if Forza is the one that just like, it makes too much sense to have Forza in VR. It's an easy thing to do. And it's like the appeal is too obvious. So it blows my mind that I can't play Forza Motorsport 7 and Forza Horizon 4 and Forza Horizon 5 in virtual reality. But knowing that I can't play any of those makes me think it's very unlikely that there will be any games that I can. Starfield or otherwise. Heroin is less scary than space. This is very confusing. Starfield. Do I think that it's awesome that it's released on your birthday? I'm missing the name, so I don't know whose birthday that is. Wayne. Oh, that is nice, Wayne, because you like your space games as well. It's Destiny. Not the game Destiny, because that's not for you, but like, you spent all that time in... Was it Eve that you played a load of? Eve or Elite? I think it was Eve that you were playing a lot, wasn't it? So yes, Starfield on your birthday, that's poetic. I think you'll enjoy it a lot. Next question. Oh, I didn't finish my smoothie. Next got fruit, and I don't know what kind of fruit. What videos am I going to make next, and can you help? I don't know what videos are next, but we can definitely find something that you can help with. And by help with, I mean pretty much like do in entirety. So, yeah, I don't know about videos. I've spent quite a lot of time making the PlayStation VR 2 review, and I'm a little bit video drained, but I do have many things that I want to do. There's my big video in the works that's going to take freaking ages, like part 1 did, but is going to be brilliant when it's done. I need to try and fire out some videos that take a little bit less time to create and edit. So, Isla, don't confess on the internet. Like, this is very public. Don't steal things unless you want to. You will make some faster paced, highly edited. Yes, we can do that. We will discuss what is suitable. That works for me very well. Subscriber mode only activated. What about the poor guy who had the original release date of Starfield? All the people whose birthday was on that day and thought they were going to be... They thought it was poetic themselves, that fate was telling them to explore Starfield, that it was special to them, it synced with their birthday, and then they got told, actually, the universe has decided you don't deserve Starfield anymore. Yeah, that's a good point. Very sad, Kratos, very sad. Next question, please. That was the last one. Oh! And I finished my smoothie just at the end, which is a shame. It means I've got to the end of the show while I've still got a full tankard of ginger beer and delicious rum that Tony got for me. Peter, it brings me some level of joy and relief that you suffer the emoji bug, because it happens to me as well, and it's always that inane looking grin that I use. Like, I'll be on Go Live and I'll say something usually directed at someone that needs the smile to clarify that it is friendly and not mean, and it just leaves that inane grin in there, and I know how you feel. I know how you feel. The question is, how much is left of the bottle? And the answer is impossible right now. I can't reach the bottle from here without totally destroying my green screen. But it is a very nice rum, Tony, so there is not that much left in the bottle. So... these words don't make sense to me. Everything's getting very confusing, so I'm going to say that's the end of today's Q&A, sir. What is the time? 11:10, but it's not been a massively long show because I started really, really late. So if you are watching after the fact, like, smash the like button. If you're watching now, smash the like button, but if you're watching afterwards, smash the like button and then leave a comment. Leave some questions, ask me some things, set some topics up for next week. I would hopefully get a little bit of time and actually follow the news and bring some topics of my own next week as well. But there will be another Q&A, sir. Yes, I will do the show next week. And if there are no exciting topics, I will come up with something interesting to talk about, because there are always loads of things, really. Loads of things in and around gaming that are worth a conversation, and we'll find some good ones and have a little dive into it. In the meantime, please do enjoy all of the gaming that you have available to you from the past, from the present, and kind of from the future. Have a good week, have a good weekend, a good week, good month, good year, all the rest of it. And I will see you soon. I don't have a good ending. I still don't have a good way to close it out. We'll come up with one, but not right now. Now I'm just going to press the button.